Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming to the August 12th board meeting. Pledge of Allegiance is happily said today after the last 2 weeks. I hope any of you out there enjoyed the Olympics as much as I did. I don't know if you saw the closing ceremonies, but that was pretty spectacular last night. Enjoyed that. Okay, we have a special, what do we do today? Who's that? Special presentation?
I'm going to introduce me.
The whole presentation?
Are you a presentation? All right, go for it, Ken.
I'd like to start out for some of the people that have not met Benny. This is Benny Routon to my left. About 3 to 4 months ago, Paul, myself, and Dennis went on a search with a recruiter to be in search for an assistant manager that someday will step into my role. We've interviewed several people, and I believe we found a great fit. Benny just lives on the outside of the lake in the Hendricks County area, but just on the other side. Benny's first day of employment was August 1st, and he's been fitting in nicely. The great Charlie Beard once told me that that I was about 2 to 3 years away from learning this job, and he was pretty darn accurate. It was every bit of 2 years. So Benny and I is going to be working together to get him up to speed, and it's been important to me to make my retirement a smooth transition, and I think we'll be on our way to that. So just please welcome Benny to the staff. I look forward to getting him up to speed and letting him tackle some of the things that I've been tackling for the last 9 years.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Ken. Clear Creek Conservancy, Dwayne Kelly.
Dwayne Kelly, 282 Patriot Lane. I think we're completely done with the mechanical part of the construction. At least all the contractors have left. I hope we're done. We still got a couple of 3 little electronic bugs that are scooting around in some of the new electronic equipment, but it's nothing that's affecting the operations at this point in time, because our people are able to do manually when one of these bugs that we've had appear, they can take care of it manually. Our next meeting is the 15th of this month at 10 a.m. at the office. And Benny, I'd like to invite you, if Ken will give you time, to come over and meet our board over there. If not, we meet every month, so if you're busy, anytime.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Dwayne. Floyd Township Fire Department, Jeff Brooks.
Jeff Brooks, Floyd Township Fire, 26 runs for the month of, whatever the last month was. July, that's it. Thanks for reminding me, I forgot. It went away. 26 runs for that month. We did have some heartbreaking runs with some loss of life, which we give our guys kudos. Did a lot of hard work on a cardiac arrest run, at least get the patient in the hospital with a chance. There was 8 of our guys on that one run, and then Putnam County EMS had 3 or 4 there as well. So, and Putnam County Sheriff was also to help us. So that's what we had for the month. We're open 24/7, 365 days a year, and the extra day in leap year we're open too. Anybody wants a great career start, weird hours, low pay, you get to drive a big red truck sometimes. So that's what we got.
Well, Jeff, you guys don't get enough credit. You guys do a great job in this community. So just want to let you know that.
Thanks, Jeff. Neighborhood Watch, you got anything? No?
April just wanted me to announce that her next meeting is this Wednesday at Psalms at 6 p.m.
Okay. HLCS, Rick?
No report.
Hellneck? Jan?
Thank you. Report on a couple things. The boat booker run this Saturday is a go, regardless of weather, because there ought to be at least 2 or 3 hours of sunshine eventually between the 12 and 5. We'll be taking registrations even as walk-ins that morning. In fact, last year, I think we registered an additional 75 people. So we're prepared for a lot of walk-ins, but we do hope that people will register ahead of time, because it is $5 cheaper if you register between now and the end of the day, Wednesday. Then the cost goes up to $35 per person. But registrations are, forms and information are here and at the marina, so people can register either place or at Cheddar through the QR code on the flyer, so that's a possibility. We do have 6 docks, and we're going to insert, we play with 7 cards, and it is Party Bridge, and in the last highlights you can see what that explanation means. I'm so glad that we put that in there and we were able to provide that so that people understand how the game will go, because it's not like traditional poker. With the 6 dock hosts and the 1 card on the insert, that's the reason it's a go, because we couldn't do it without this number. We need this number to do it. We want to thank Ken in particular, since he's here, for going to host a dock and his crew, so you might want to sign up just to check out his dock if you want to. Be brave and go there, because that'll be awesome. He'll be down here with the clubhouse dock by the activity center. Okay, so that's our registration. The other thing coming up is the garage sales. Community garage sales this year happen to be the week right after Labor Day. So we will be participating downstairs to help Heritage Lake Charlie Beard Memorial Scholarships. We'll split that, HLNAC and Scholarship Committee will split that cost. We rely totally on donations from the community and anyone else who would like to donate things to us. So we will be able to accept things on the Tuesday and Wednesday right after Labor Day, which would be September 3rd and 4th, during office hours only. So if people have donations, please bring them. We'd love to have that, especially those who are not having a garage sale, obviously, to bring their things to us to sell those 3 days, the 5th, 6th, and 7th. We're also going to be doing food, again, the barbecue, conies, and that kind of thing. So please come for lunch, early lunch, late lunch, whatever. So again, we need donations, and if you have any questions about, the board have any questions about that? I looked it up. We've been doing the garage sales downstairs to benefit some organizations since 2011. We did skip spring of 2020 because of COVID. So it's amazing we've done it for that long. We initially started doing it for the day camp, when the day camp disbanded or didn't continue, and we took it up for HLNAC and for the scholarship. So we've really done a good job of raising funds over the years for both 3 organizations. So. And our thanks to the POA, to all of you, for allowing us to do that at no cost. We really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan, for all your help and all your work. POA Security?
Good evening. Thanks for having us. We had 31 calls that we've responded up here to Heritage Lake for the month of July. 2 that I'll highlight. We had 6 administrative calls, which is probably people wanting VIN checks on their boats or their vehicles. And then the other one, we had 5 disturbance or nuisance calls up here for the whole month of July. So, and I sent a copy of these runs to Rick to put in the newspaper. Any questions?
There was just three separate calls.
31 total calls for the whole month.
Okay, 30.
31 total calls, but we had, the 2 highlights was we had 6 administrative calls, which typically are boat checks, VIN checks on cars, and then we did have 5 disturbance cars up here, disturbance calls up here.
All right, thank you. Okay, presentation of agenda. Everybody okay with the agenda for tonight? Board members? Okay. I'll take a motion to approve the board meeting minutes for July 8th and the operation minutes for July 29th.
Motion to approve. Second.
All those in favor? Thank you. Treasurer's report, Dennis?
Okay, for the month of July, we had total income of $227,400, $227,458. We had expenses of $177,160 for net income of $50,298. That means year-to-date, total income is $1,309,541. Total expenses, $1,032,115. So our net income for the year-to-date through October is $277,426. From a cash standpoint, our short-term cash at the end of July was $870,071. We had investments of $218,370, which gives us total cash available at the end of July of $1,088,441.
Thanks, Dennis. We'll go to the board committee reports. Dennis, you might as well stay on the clock.
All right.
A&E.
We got A&E committee. Another busy month in July. A summary of projects that were approved. We had 7 non-waterfront fences, a patio roof, a gazebo, 6 new houses, 2 decks, and 2 detached garages. Approved.
Thank you. Somebody asked me last week, I can't remember where I was, but, which is pretty normal. What you can do if you've got a neighbor that's going to build, and we don't obviously report on lot numbers and so on and so forth. We report on building permits and dock permits and the like, especially now, since 2 years ago, we've basically get 50% of all Putnam County permits are at Heritage Lake. But if you have something in your neighborhood and you want to find out about it, just call the office. They'll give you all the pertinent information, and we have rules in place. Matter of fact, tonight we're going to have the second vote on a new rule for lots that are purchased out here, that they must be surveyed to touch anything on that lot. And the reason for that is so that nobody bothers trees that are borderline, and somebody hires a bulldozer guy to come out and clear a lot, and he just has measurements, and all of a sudden he's taking down the neighbor's house, and we don't want that. So anyway, if you have any problem with somebody building next to you, you have a discrepancy or anything like that, please, we welcome your call to the POA office, and April will fill you in on everything. Campground, Rick Stevens.
No report, just monthly meeting Saturday at 10 a.m.
This Saturday?
This Saturday.
Cleanup, Jeff, anything?
Yep, Sarah Lackner asked me to report that on August 10th, which was Saturday, the cleanup committee hosted a shred event. 32 residents were able to take advantage of getting rid of their legal documents and all that such through a shredder machine that was located here in the parking lot. She wants to thank members Kurt Stewart and Greg Purvis for all their help in making that a success. She also asked me to remind people that the Clean Sweep is going to be held Saturday, September 14th between 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. She'll take all kinds of junk, and metals will be, of course, collected in a separate dumpster. No toxins will be able to be collected this fall. We don't have any way to get rid of them. That's normally a spring Clean Sweep event. So be sure to get all your garage and closet items that you don't want cleaned up and gathered up and bring them out. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Government, Rick Olson.
Yeah, Rick Olson, 51 Mill Springs. I got an update on the road repairs this morning. They're God willing, and the creek don't rise. They're gonna be starting on Militia and Monmouth next week. And then I assume Rappahannock and Burgoyne would start after that. They said that the most likely date is August 21st. A lot of things can happen between now and then, material availability and weather and machinery and things like that. So that's the plan, so I assume we'll get the word out to folks, because the Heritage Lake roads that are going to be paved will be shut down completely during the paving. Now, I understand that people could get on it within about an hour or so, once they get it rolled. So, and then the other one they're doing is County Road 725 East going up to the BP in Groveland. They said they're about 2 weeks out on that. Milestone is doing that one. And in that case, there will be one lane open throughout the construction, I understand. So, any questions?
No, thanks. Appreciate you staying on top of all that.
Yeah. And I'll keep you informed if something comes up, you know, I'll be in touch with them again toward the end of this week on Monday or so.
Okay.
So we can let folks know.
Lake Committee, Rick, you have anything?
Just a real quick summary, the Feast and Ski went really well. It was well attended by the public, and thank you for that. And we met all of our financial goals. We've got a date set for next year, and we have a band that's going to provide a little bit softer music than the one we had this year. But they were very good, but it was a little harder for some tastes that we had. But nevertheless, we're already planning next year.
Thanks. Okay, clean water, no report, correct?
Correct. I've got your bottles on my desk, so I'm going to take that in this week.
Thank you.
Long-term planning, I'm assuming there's no report there.
Right.
Siltation, you have anything, Dwayne?
Just the fact, Wayne Kelly, 282 Spring Farm, just the fact that we're not gonna have a meeting in August.
No August meeting.
As far as I know, unless some emergency comes up with something we don't foresee, we've had our projects completed for this year.
Okay, thank you, Dwayne. So, I'm assuming then that through February, we won't have anything for siltation?
No, we'll have a meeting probably in September
Okay,
and October
all right.
to start looking at projects for next year, so.
So you'll report on those?
Yeah.
Okay.
With that, so we decide then, and then along in January, I can get a hold of Shannon and tell him what we want done, and then he can do it whenever it works into his schedule.
Perfect, thank you. Election Committee, there's no report. Managers report, Ken?
All right, I'm going to forego my normal report. I've just got something here I want to read. One of the greatest benefits of holding this job is meeting all the people out here. I've had a privilege of meeting some great people that have become close and personal friends. Arlene Richmond was one of those close friends. She wanted to keep her illness very quiet. Only a few around here knew of her illness. Myself, Chris and Darcy Schaefer, and April Lynn, we knew. Some of you may know a couple weeks ago, we lost Arlene, a longtime resident and employee and someone that has donated countless hours of volunteering for this community, making Heritage Lake a better place. I have often said Heritage Lake would not be the place we are today without the volunteers. Arlene was one of the best. You may have known her from pumping your gas at the marina or helping out in the office from time to time. She was also a founding member of the Snack Shack, raising funds for the playground equipment, while also lending a hand on the installation of the equipment. She also lent a hand with the neighborhood watch with the chili cook-off when needed. Arlene was also a longtime member of the election committee under Jim and Debbie Muhlenbein. She would oversee and make sure that the people counting the votes did it so and very accurately. I'd like to tell a quick story about that. 4 months after me being hired, we had our first election for board members. Just me being new, I knew the election committee was in here. I went to Casey's and I bought a box of donuts. I come walking in here and slung the doors open. Everything was locked. Nobody else was supposed to be in here. I figured I could be in here because I had the key. But walked in here and I popped the doors open and I said, "Good morning. Brought you some donuts." And Arlene gave me this stern look and said, "You're not supposed to be in here." And I said, "Why not?" And she goes, "Because we're counting votes, and this is very serious." So I backed out, left them the donuts, and I closed the door. There were times that I would stop by her house to chat over a cup of coffee. We would chat, and I would confide in her, for her opinion on several different topics. One thing I could count on from Arlene was an honest input. I loved her for that. Approximately 7 years ago, I installed a memorial bench at the marina for the marina employees. I'll soon be placing a brick in her honor, Arlene Richmond, in hopes that we never forget her. Rest in peace, Arlene.
Thank you, Ken. Okay, let's move to business. Old business. Airbnb locations. Nina Stebbins.
So this came up a couple months ago, and we reached out to our attorney to find out what recommendations they had in order to address the subject of short-term rentals. We're terming it as Airbnb, but there are multiple companies out there that proctor the same type of short-term rentals. So we'll just address short-term rentals as a whole. And based upon the recommendation from our attorney and input from the other board members, I've collected a summary of rules that we may be looking at enacting. And Paul, do you want me to go down through those?
Yeah, I think we should read the list. The other thing we'll probably do, so that everybody understands, this is not something that's going to happen today, and it will be a 2-vote system, so there will be 2 months of voting for the finished product. I don't consider today to be the first vote. I think what we need to do is read this so that the public can hear it, people in here can hear it, and everybody can digest it. Next month, if the board feels that we need to revise this at all for our first vote, then we'll revise it and have our first vote the next meeting. Then the public will hear our revisions and how we feel about it as a board, and we'll give them another month to digest that and come back to us with any heartaches or problems or anything like that. We're not picking a side yet on this particular issue. Our main concern, at least what I hear from the board members, is that it is a very touchy management situation when you're asking people to rent their facilities out for a weekend to people that don't live here. It's a private community. We have had several people out here over the last year or two that have been reported that they use the amenities, and we have to have our management go out and approach them and tell them that they can't use the amenities. And then we come to find out they were told that they can use the amenities. So the reason for this is to establish rules, regulations, so that if somebody comes into the community from out of the community, whether they're listening to an owner or not, they will have to come to the office just like everybody out here has to come to the office for a POA card. So that's the kind of direction we're going. We want to know who's here so that we can properly manage it. So that's the direction we're going. So if you don't mind, go ahead and read those.
Not at all. First, as a premise, I do want to clarify that while addressing short-term rentals, the renters themselves are not considered POA members. Therefore, they do not get POA cards, and they are not eligible to utilize the amenities here. And so the proposed rules that we're looking at is that the property owner, so the person listing or allowing the short-term rental, must include within the advertising, contract, and leasing materials. They must make it very clear that the usage of POA property and amenities are strictly forbidden by the renters. And this would include all lake access, boating, swimming, and fishing, to include from, on, or around private docks, any use of kayaks, canoes, paddleboards, or any other floating apparatus, use of the pools, the beaches, the POA docks, the playgrounds, the volleyball court, tennis and pickleball courts, basketball courts, picnic tables, pavilions, walking trails, activity center, clubhouse, concert attendance, and use of any other POA-controlled common areas. And it shall not be used by any person, pet, bike, or golf cart relating to the renter. The property owner must supply to the POA office all advertising and leasing materials prior to the use or publication. So before they have the contract signed, before they've listed the property as rentable, we want to be able to, the POA office needs to be able to see what exactly they are including in that rental agreement. That way we know that the renters are appropriately informed. The property owner must carry additional levels of liability insurance and specifically name the HLPOA as an additional insured. The property owner and the renter shall indemnify and hold the POA and POA members harmless for all liability and damages. There will be no short-term rentals permitted less than 90 days. And within, the rental party must present in person to the POA office within the first week of rental, if not prior to rental day one. And again, within the last week of the rental. And when they come in the first time, they have to bring a copy of the rental contract, which they signed, so we can verify that it was the same copy of the contract that we were provided. And also photo identification of the person renting and a copy of their renter's insurance. So that is a summary of changes that we may be looking into. And again, we're presenting this at this meeting. Any revisions will happen between now and the September POA meeting. At that time, if it is appropriate, we may hold our first vote. And then again, we will continue with revisions, input from the community, and potentially hold the final or second vote during the October POA meeting.
So to make it clear at this point, these are the proposed changes that we're going to put in our bylaws. If somebody in the community has a different variation, and we can, you can call the office if you'd like and get a copy of this list. Or we could probably even put it on our website. It's probably a good idea that we put a copy of this on our website, and I'll ask Ken to have the girls put that in tomorrow so that you can see our initial scope, I guess is the best way to describe it. As far as this meeting goes tonight, if anybody has any questions in the audience that are here, we can address those during the open forum. At this point, I would just like to open this for a discussion to the board members at this point, if you have anything to discuss tonight. If not, you want to take a week or a couple weeks before the ops meeting and then discuss it further in the ops meeting, that's fine with me. Yes?
So, just so we're clear, no short-term rentals of less than 90 days. So if somebody's gonna rent a house for a year, do they need to go through this process? Are we saying any rental at the lake? Or are we just saying
This would apply to all rentals.
This will apply to all rentals.
every person that has a rental out here?
Right.
Okay.
So, which, right now, to answer your question, I think, extensively, if you do own a house out here and you rent it out, the only thing you don't do at this point is come to the office and tell them what your situation is. So that would be the only thing new Other than that, you tell renters that you can't use anything out here.
Sure, no, I understand that. I'm just saying like they have to present themselves to the office before and after, and then also
Right.
the extra insurance, having everybody comply to that.
That could be a question for our insurance people.
I'm just thinking that's a lot of legwork for people that do home
It's not that
rentals.
much legwork. I have, we have tenants that put other people on their insurance.
Sure.
It's a matter of the insurance company just agreeing to put the people on there.
Sorry, I
Deal.
meant the management of that process. So you have a check and balance, you
Oh,
know
yeah.
that 1, 2, 3, 4
Right.
Main Street, or you know what I mean, 1, 2, 3 Gettysburg
Yeah,
is this, and
right.
1, 2, 3 Mill Springs is this, and these are rentals, and this is,
But,
they have their paperwork, it's in the office, it's somewhere. I mean, you're gonna have someone have to manage that spreadsheet, if you will, of
Correct.
data, which could become a lot of extra work, potentially.
well, I think that's probably a good question for the office.
I would say the majority.
Well, I'm just saying, because we're voting on this, like, we need to make sure that's talked about
Correct.
before we vote
Yeah,
on it.
I agree.
Jeff?
I got something here. If it's okay, I think you did a great job on this. I just ask it, can we put 90 consecutive days? Just don't want it to get construed where people might come and break it up into 90 days for a year. So, in other words, number 5, no short-term rentals for less than 90 consecutive days. Would that be okay?
Yeah, I mean, that is
That's the
the
intent. I think
intent.
you had. Yeah. So I
So
like
I don't see any problem. I appreciate that
And-
edit.
And I'd like to springboard off of AJ. Just last meeting, we talked about trespassers. And so as this Airbnb becomes more and more popular across the nation, and it's a real popular. Just think of the hardships that we'll have in controlling trespassers and compared to renters and short-term renters. So I think, AJ, it will be more work, but it's going to be. I mean, if we want to protect our community and be able to safeguard it properly, we kind of need, the board's going to, whether I'm on the board or not, doesn't matter. I think the community's going to need more safeguards for things like this. Not to prohibit, but to be able to regulate it and manage it so that it's the neighborhood that we want it to be.
Any further discussion tonight? Okay, so let's make sure we have this on the agenda for the operations meeting. And in the meantime, anybody in the audience or anybody that is watching our board meeting tonight, if you have any suggestions, by all means, get them to us and let us know what they are. Either whether you're pro Airbnb, we use the word Airbnb, I think everybody knows what we're talking about. Short-term rentals, weekends, 2 days, coming in for a basketball game, coming in for whatever's going on in Coatesville. I mean, there's a lot going on in Coatesville, and some people want to rent a house here because it's close by. And, no, I mean, I'll be honest with you, my second year out here, we had a very large function. And 2 family members out of state asked if there's any Airbnbs here. And I asked if there were, because I wanted them close to my house. So there's a positive side of this. For those people that live here, it'd be nice if you have a big anniversary party or, what have you, at your house here, and you have the people right down the street at an Airbnb. So there is positive parts about that. As a community, we are fiduciaries for all of you. We are trying to make the right decision for all of you. So if you have input, now's the time to do it. Once we put this in a bylaw, we're going to have to go back and change it if we have to change it. So now's the time to put input, and we'd like to have some good thoughts behind your questions and statements and concerns. So we'll move on.
Obviously, it's some of the ugly situations that cause this problem. I've had a lady contact me that there was a big monster truck thing or something going on in Brownsburg or something, and they rent one out over the weekend, and she's got 7 monster trucks parked up and down the street. They're in and out all night long, and it's just, she looks out and some guys, whizzing out behind the house and that kind of stuff. So, I wouldn't want that next to me. So, you gotta, like Paul said, you gotta make the decision for everybody, and those are the neighbors that it affects.
Okay, second thing on the old business B is marina parking lot. For those of you who have not heard, the board has elected to move ahead to pave the marina parking lot in 2024. That is the entire marina parking lot. That means that as of probably November, the entire parking lot will be new pavement. They will take out anything that's old and destructed, and we will also pave over the gravel that's already there now. So it'll be a brand new parking lot. It'll be a bit inconvenient this fall, but it will never be at a point where you can't get the boat in or get the boat out. There will never be a point where you can't park somewhere in there and go to the restaurant or the marina. It will be a little bit inconvenient, but we have elected to move forward. One of the things that we had on our budget last year was that we had a little incentive from the government because they were going to help us with some money that was going to come to us for the fact that, all the COVID things and all the new programs that the government had in effect. We did receive some money from the government. We will not receive the total amount from the government that we thought we might receive, but we have decided, because we've saved money, Ken and his fellows are going to do the concrete pad that the dumpsters are going to be on themselves, which is going to save us around $5,000. And we've hired a company that we've recently interviewed to put in a drainage system. Those of you who have spent a lot of time over at the marina know that there's always been water on top of the marina, and it's always been a problem, especially when it freezes and thaws and freezes and thaws, and we have streams going through the parking lot, and we knew we were going to have to eventually deal with that. We had bids as high as $40,000 to fix that problem before they even started paving. Well, we got that reduced to about $4,000, and we're going to have a drain put in, and it's going to be done very professionally, and the people that are doing it, we know them pretty well, and they're going to help us out with that. So we're going to save a great deal of money moving forward this year. And we will anticipate, like everything else, next year it ain't going to be any cheaper. So we've elected to do it. The board has had all the information supplied to them, and we have come up with a vote that's positive to go ahead and move forward on the marina parking lot. So if you have any questions about that, we can entertain those during the open forum.
I will add that you said we're not getting all the money that the government, we were hoping they were going to give us. But in the meantime, Ken went through the budget in great detail and identified a couple of $100,000 worth of things that he doesn't need to spend, so that we'll have enough breathing room and margin to put in the parking lot. So,
thank you, Dennis. Property survey to clear the lots. Dennis?
okay, Paul made reference to this earlier in the meeting. This is for a second vote on some language the A&E committee is recommending anytime someone wants to clear an undeveloped lot. And the final language, we've already approved this one vote. This will be our second vote. The final language says, in preparation of any construction on undeveloped lots, property owners must have a stake survey performed by a licensed surveyor prior to 1, removing trees and vegetation, or 2, grading the property. So that would be the final version. We took subsequent out of it that you had recommended, so.
So we have one unanimous vote last month. Any discussion necessary before we ask for a motion. Okay, I'll take a motion.
Move to approve our second vote on the new rule.
Second?
I'll second AJ's motion.
All those in favor? Unanimous again. Next on the docket, Dennis Barrow, you're up again.
All right.
306 Patriots Landing Deck Roof Variance.
Okay, there again, this is for a second vote. We discussed this variance last board meeting to kind of give a high-level update on what it's all about. It's at 306 Patriots Landing. They're wanting to do an addition and some construction. It was denied by the A&E committee. It says Rule 243.3 states, in no instance shall buildings be built any closer than 30 feet to the water line at normal pool. Parts of the deck and the roof fall within 30 feet of the water line. The owner is asking for a variance. It's actually about 25 to 26 feet to the water line, and it does not obstruct anyone's view. They provide us with a number of pictures. It's really, in the spirit, in my opinion, in the spirit of when you would want to approve a variance, I believe this is a great example of when you might want to consider approving a variance, because it's really not hurting anyone. So it's up for second vote as to whether we want to approve the variance.
I make a motion to approve it.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, no? 5 to 3. I abstain.
I'm abstaining.
I'm voting no.
5's enough.
Passes.
All right.
5 to 4. Okay, new business. Dennis, you're up again. A&E fine discussion.
Okay. And this relates back to 306 Patriots Landing. The contractor that was doing that work effectively did a bunch of work before getting the variance approved. And this contractor has been known to do similar activities prior. And we had discussion as a board, if you look at the fine structure right now, if a contractor does work before getting approved, the first fine is like $300, and then it goes to, I think, $500, and it's $1,000. And we as a board, for the most part, felt that those fines really weren't enough to deter a contractor from just doing whatever the heck they want to do. So I introduced the A&E committee, last A&E meeting, to the board's concern about the fines. And then they've had discussion about it, I was copied on a number of emails that went back and forth. And long story short, what they're recommending is that the fine structure stay the same, but the board reserves the right to as much as triple a fine for someone that the board feels is abusing the process. So what it effectively does, it keeps the A&E committee from being the bad guys and having to assess huge fines, so to speak, and puts the challenge on the board and let the board be the bad guys if the board feels it needs to happen that way. So that's up for discussion.
Jeff, what do you got?
I disagree with that proposal. I'd like to see the fine be, the very first fine, a 4-figure fine. I don't care what it is, but it ought to be 4-figure. Contractors ought to be responsible enough to comply with instructions, and if they don't, they should be fined. So I think one fine would be sufficient, followed up with a cease and desist letter. We don't need to drag it out. They need to be professional in dealing with the A&E and the board and the public and the neighbors and the rest of the community, not just the people that they're doing a project for. So that's my response to what you proposed. Sure.
I agree that we need fines that are sufficient to be a deterrent. I don't have a preconceived notion what those should be, but I don't think it's a good idea to have a subjective process. I think it needs to be a clearly stated rule with clearly stated fines, and let the A&E committee do their job. Now, for any activity that happens on the A&E committee, they can come to the board for relief if they don't agree. So we've always got that power, okay?
Yeah, the way that they stated it in the email said they recommend the fines stay the same, and the board reserves the right to as much as triple the fine levied by the A&E committee when they deem by majority vote that is justified by the seriousness of the infraction. That was the language that they presented. And and I'll be honest with you, my concern is I think we got to stay in our lane. You know, I think the A&E committee, you know, needs to have a certain authority to run the A&E committee, and that's my gut feel.
My response would be that they are in their lane, we are in our lane, and they're in their lane, and they'll be more apt to do their role if the fine is severe enough to get attention of contractors.
So,
the $300 fine is probably a fine that was developed years ago, and so there's nothing wrong with keeping pace with the way the inflation's going. I don't care what the fine is, but I thought 4 figures, start there, $1,000, and if you guys want to increase it, that's great. I don't care. I just want it to be simple, and I want it to be non-discriminatory. So I wouldn't want to see you get a $300 fine. It comes to the board and we decide let's hammer him for $5,000. And Linda then she gets a $300 fine, and we go, well, it's okay. So I just think make it simple, okay? The fine's a fine.
Well, I mean,
if you violate the rule, you pay the price.
Yeah, I think I made it pretty clear that the board felt that the fines were not high enough, and they need to be more like $1,000, $2,500, and $5,000.
And we're talking
I'm
specifically,
talking one.
Yeah.
We're specifically addressing the violation in the A&E rulebook of construction without a permit or failure to
Yeah.
comply with the requirements of the A&E. So right now, the fine structure is set, the first offense is $300, second offense is $500, third offense is $1,000.
Right.
Would it be safe to say that we really don't see a lot of second and third offenses? Because we're talking about this construction on the same property, the same project. Would it be safe to say we probably don't see a lot of second and third
Oh, I would think
offenses?
so.
That
They
would
don't,
be
they don't
safe
do,
to say,
they don't do a lot of
But
fines.
that one is the most violated one.
Right, I do agree with that on the first offense. So with that said, I agree that $300, knowing that it's probably only going to happen once on the project, is such a drop in the bucket for the contractor to not even care.
Yeah.
Does anyone know what Putnam County charges for a rule violation? After they submit a
$300.
permit?
$300,
300?
yes.
If they
Yes.
get a permit from Putnam County and they disregard?
If you don't get a permit and you start construction from
No,
Putnam County.
I'm talking about if you get a permit from Putnam County, and when the inspector comes out to check your property,
I don't know.
and he finds that you're not even complying with the permit that you
Agreed.
submitted,
that might be something we find out.
I don't know if there's a fine with that, but I think there's a fine for starting without one, and I think it's $300.
Okay.
I don't know if there's a fine, I think they would just not pass it. You know, like if they came out and the project wasn't anything to do with the prints, they're just gonna fail it, and you've gotta figure out going back through it.
Okay.
Listen,
We might check that.
in your opinion, would there be any kind of legal ramifications towards the board for increasing it too much?
Can't think of one. Can't think of any.
Is it actually enforced at this point, the $300 one?
Absolutely. You paid it.
I did, I'm saying, have other people been paying it?
Yes, they have.
I mean, I will probably try to not do it again, I wonder if you see how the $300 one goes, and if it's just not sticking, then you.
Well, that's what we're discussing.
Now,
We've
does
had- we've had
Does that
several.
tag along with the address? Sorry, does that rule tag along with the fine tag along with the address? So,
Or for a contractor?
or is it on that specific project?
It'd be on that project.
So feasibly, you could break the rule once, immediately have a new A&E project, or have 3 or 4 different permits approved, and you could, or you could do it on Nina's house, and then my house, and then your house, and that's 300, 300, 300.
Mhm.
But it's the same contractor doing it.
Mhm.
Good point, AJ.
So it doesn't follow the contractor, it follows the address.
Correct.
My concern-
Right now.
Right.
Now, I think, Jeff, I'll get to you.
Yep, you go right ahead.
I think that's a worthy discussion for the A&E committee. The
I
A&E committee,
apologize,
the A&E
I've
committee
already talked
knows more than we know, contractors. They see more applications than we know about because we don't hear about them unless there's a problem. So that may be something that we address with the A&E committee, along with these fines for the address. I think we need to address the fact that they need to have some teeth for contractors.
Yeah, because they would, I mean, if you're building 10 houses, you just don't apply for any permits and you just pay $300 a house.
Yeah.
But you do it 10 times, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I thought this was addressing, it follows the homeowner / contractor.
It's, right now, it's just following the address.
So, and there again, we're not looking for a vote or anything.
No.
I just need to be clear what you guys want me to take back to the A&E committee. So what has transpired so far is I went to them, told them I thought clearly that the board thought the fees were way too low and that they need to evaluate them. You know, we're thinking more like $1,000, $2,500 to $5,000. I mean, you know, it could be more, it could be less, I don't know. And they kicked it back and forth, and this is what they came back with. So what do you want me to communicate with them? That we disagree with them?
We don't accept their counteroffer.
Yeah, we don't accept their counteroffer. Nah, it's music, I know what you're talking about now. Just go back and say, you know, the board disagrees and feels that you need to revisit the idea of increasing fines.
Correct.
And the question came up, do the fees, are they per address or should it be per contractor?
How does the committee feel about addressing contractors
Okay.
on top of addressing individual permits? So in other words, and you know, the elephant in the room here is that one contractor could be a problem 17 times in 1 year.
Right.
And if there's no teeth in the A&E committee, it just happens over and over and over again.
300, 300, 300,
Yeah.
300, 300, yeah.
So there has to be cease and desist somewhere.
Yeah. and-
Somewhere we have to
And
hold.
they agreed with that, I believe the fine that went out, I mentioned to them that a cease and desist letter should go out with that also.
Okay,
So,
all right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go back to my work. My perception would be that we find a violation, and let's say I'm the contractor, Jeff Blaze contractor, and you find that I violated the project based on what I was allowed to do. Well, you charge me, you write me a letter, and I don't care how, I think it ought to be at least 4 figures, and you fine me that, along with the cease and desist letter. And let me explain what I mean by that. Cease and desist letter is nothing more than, don't do this again, or you may not be allowed to work here for a substantial period of time. Could be a year, whatever you want to do. But you gotta tell me, this one time, you're fined $1,000, and that's it, but don't do it again. Not 3 strikes and you're out. Don't do it again. Now, so my perception is that it would apply only to the contractor. So if Jeff Blades has 5 projects going on, and I violate twice, that's not two different opportunities. That's me doing it twice. That's $1,000 per time, and perhaps the cease and desist letter says, don't ever do this again. So, or if I did it once, and then I came back and did it a second time, then I'd be done for whatever time. I mean, the A&E needs to have the opportunity for the board to have teeth. It's not taking anything away from A&E in my perception of what I'd like to see done. It's given A&E.
You're wanting A&E to have, you want A&E to have teeth.
Correct.
Yeah, that's it, and that will be, when you write a form, and it's backed up by a 4-figure fine, whatever you guys want to do, I'm good with 1,000, but somebody may say that's not enough. Cease and desist letter follows, is right along with it. So cease and desist says, stop what you're doing, don't ever do it again. There's no penalty there.
Which that automatically,
Yeah.
that automatically
I understand
addresses both of our concerns.
Yeah.
It addresses the address, and then it addresses with the cease and desist letter, the contractor.
I think the homeowner should also get that letter, because what if they're a homeowner like me? I'm a contractor. Am I a homeowner or am I a contractor
Yeah.
when I'm getting that letter?
They both need to know what's going on.
Okay. All right. We clear? Everybody clear? Any more discussion?
Probably the only thing that I would like to add, I think over time, both parties, the board and A&E committee, has always had a very good working relationship. I say let them do their thing. I agree that everybody needs to stay in their lane, and that's their lane. However, I mean, I would like to see it more than $1,000
Yeah.
personally, and the reason I say that, if you're building and I've heard these numbers, if you're building $150,000, $170,000 dock, what the heck is $1,000? I mean, there again, I mean, I'll figure that $1,000 in real quick. But either consider that or consider fining the contractor and the homeowner. I don't know if you can legally do that or not, but you get in the pocket of the homeowner that just hired that contractor. Now, they're not gonna be happy.
My response to that is, if the contractor's not gonna do something, if I'm the homeowner and I say, okay, that we can't start until August 1st, but if you wanna come this weekend, it's okay. Well, the contractor needs to have the discipline and the wherewithal to say, no, we won't. If it says it starts on the 1st, it starts on the 1st, and you're not getting me to do that. So I don't see that the homeowner has a lot there's not a lot of mileage out of punishing a homeowner for a one-time opportunity. And I don't care how much the fine is, okay? I just think it ought to be at least $1,000. And I think the cease and desist letter is powerful. Even though the $1,000, only $1,000, let them do it again. Then you know what, Mama's Joe Hayes, okay? So I think it'll work. But I don't care what the fine is. It could be $10,000, I don't care, yeah.
Well, we're gonna have to address that. I mean, I think, and I'm just guessing from the A&E's first response about the fines. Let's just say they don't seem prone to beat up anybody with dollar amounts. And I personally think that there's a lot of attention that has to be given any project, whether it be a dock or a house or a garage or anything. There's a lot of attention that has to be given everything on that project. And each and every part of that project deserves a different degree of attention. And if I know I'm gonna get fined $5,000 if I don't pay attention to every bit of that project, I'm gonna pay attention. $300? I'm not gonna worry about it until the time comes where somebody says I screwed up. So keep that in mind.
And one more, I think for the A&E people, if we make this the rule, something like what I'm proposing, they're not responsible for beating up on contractor, okay? They're not. That's the rule. So you just apply.
They just levy.
You apply the rule in all committees. Send the letter. In all committees, serve at the pleasure of the board. So there's not really anybody getting into the A&E's business and handcuffing them from doing their work in this. I think you're giving them more freedom and more ability to say when they make a contract that it's adhered to.
Okay.
Could the fine be percentage based? Does the committee know invoice estimates or anything like that of the project?
You don't really pay any dollars of the project.
I figured, but can't ask you.
Yeah.
And every project isn't necessarily done by a contractor.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, sometimes the homeowners are doing the smaller projects that would also fall under A&E.
All right, stay tuned.
Anything else on that? He's gonna go back to them. We'll work it out again next month. Ops meeting, put that on the agenda for the ops meeting. There is what, let's see here, let me get my trusty
So would
calendar.
a homeowner get that same fine then? If a homeowner started a project?
We haven't decided on anything yet.
I'm just asking.
No, we haven't decided.
If a homeowner gets a $1,500, $2,000 fine starting out, they're probably not gonna be very happy, but.
I'd
We'll
say-
have open forum.
You're breaking the rule, they're breaking the rule, you both should get $5,000 fines. Why not? If you can't follow, you've obviously violated the rules many times in the past. You admitted that.
I said I invited.
I'm sorry, I shut up long as I could. He's talking, I kept for him, my mouth just blew open.
Okay, so we have a,
I mean,
let's
yeah,
see, hold on a second. We have a meeting this week, A&E, right? So we could go ahead at 15th, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we can go ahead and touch base again on the ops meeting, see what they had to say. And during the forum, if you guys want to discuss more about this, we'd be happy to discuss it. If they feel, I mean, that might be something that you might address with them. Contractor, owner, both, either or, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things you might have to think about, with all due respect, and we're not talking about just one contractor here, we're talking about everybody. And with all due respect, if I'm in Kokomo and I can afford a $2 million home being built, I'm gonna be busy in Kokomo. I'm probably not gonna be down here unless my wife makes me come down here to take the kids skiing on a weekend. So I'm not gonna be available all the time, and something might slip through because I thought I hired a responsible contractor. And should I get fined, or should my contractor get fined? I don't know. Those are things we need to think about. Those are the things we need to discuss.
Well, can I respond to that? One thing, you don't have to lump the contractor and the homeowner together under the same punishment. There could be two separate situations. So you may want to say, hey, if a homeowner had a project going on and they're in violation, maybe we have a different rule for them. See, it doesn't have to be the same rule. We can get outside the box a little bit, and we have a contractor rule, okay?
Yeah.
Then we can have, because the cease and desist isn't gonna help hurt a homeowner. Or it's a one-time thing anyway, so there may be something else we can do for homeowners, different type of handle it a different way, so to speak.
Okay,
Okay.
we beat that baby tonight. All right, here we are, the open forum.
Yeah, now bring it on.
All right, open forum. May I remind everybody, please state your name, your lot number, your concerns, your statements, and we'll try and keep them all civil. Yes, sir.
Jeff Brooks, 123 Patriots Landing. First off, thank you, Nita, for supporting the A&E committee with your no vote. I think there was some good comment from most everybody here about the, first off, the variance. I think that's setting a precedent that's been brought up before by the board. I sent a letter to each one of the board members stating I thought the fine should be severe. They know the rules going in. You want to play bad, you pay the fine. And I guess really what kind of chapped my backside about this whole deal was when at the board meeting a month ago, the contractor that was in question at 306 admitted that it never used to be this way at Heritage Lake. You could get away with whatever you wanted to get away with. So he's admittedly saying, I'm breaking the rules, piss on your rules, I don't care about it. So $300, come on, $1,000, that's not enough. $5,000 or $10,000, that'll get their attention. But as you all said, homeowners do their own work too. So they should be getting a fine too. So let's do it. The contract sign should have contractor and homeowner. And very clearly on the contract that the A&E committee has filled out says, hey, you're both subject to this fine. And with what's gone on in the past by board members saying they've known it's gone in the past, and by a contractor's admission it's gone in the past, and by contractors that I've talked to since the last board meeting that says it's always easier to ask forgiveness and permission at Heritage Lake.
Later.
Put some meat in it. I'm gonna go back to what you said, Paul. Give the A&E a boot. Give them a big boot. You put that fine on both people, homeowner and contractor, and if Jeff is a homeowner says, I'm the homeowner and the contractor, guess what? Your fines went up twice. And none of this, okay, we're gonna charge you a fine, and next time we'll talk about it. You're gonna cease and desist. We'll talk about it. Cut the talking crap. Drop the boot and say you're done. You're out of Heritage Lake. You can't do anything else out of here. If you can't feed your kids, you can put shoes on your kids' feet or something like that. I'm sorry, that's the rules. That's not your guys' fault. That's not the A&E committee's fault. That's not the resident's fault, unless it's a resident who's breaking the rule.
Can I respond, because I'm the one that made the motion to do this? Can I, is it okay if I can? Okay. As far as the variance goes, the reason I believe we approved some of these, that's what the board's for. I mean, you have the rule, and then there are specific locations that just because it may not work on my property, and the 30-foot rule has to be applied for. If we go and look and research and see on this particular property, the A&E kicked it to us, and then being responsible, we see, well, this does not hurt the HLPOA at all. In fact, it enhances it overall. So there will be exceptions, and I'm for that. And I don't think that sets precedent, because each time we have a meeting every month, that's a different situation than the one that we talked about 6 months ago. As far as the fine goes, I think it needs to be a good fine. I just said 4 figures. I want to get it up there, and we'll discuss it. And I'm not going to come out here right now and say I think it ought to be 10,000 or 9,000. But yeah, it needs to be. What we have in place now, I don't think works. And I think the fine is insignificant anyway. We just need to stop the rule violation. Once we stop the rule violation, we've succeeded. So it's whatever amount of money that people think it might take to stop the rule violation.
Well, Paul's comment about it to me, our house being Kokomo, the guys up there building, he's got people down here. A lot of the additions and build-ons and houses and what have you going on here is like, they're not cheap. I know the one at 306, that can't be an inexpensive repair or addition. I like his idea about a percentage. I don't mean 1%. Okay, if that's a $100,000 addition, 20% fine if you start on it before you get your approval. You make it put some meat in it. Have some balls and say, hey people, you're gonna follow our rules or you're gonna pay out the nose for it. You won't do it again. You'll do it one time, because you'll do it once and pay the bill, and the second time you won't be able to do it no more. Gross it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's beautiful. Anyway, Rich Moss, JB 259.
I was gonna hit up on that too, you know, you guys jumped on this real quick and just bringing it up. You guys, the rules are the rules, the rules are the rules. We got a 30-foot rule, okay? And some of you just broke it, some of you didn't. Now, is that rule, that's 30 foot, because I really don't know, is it in the covenants or is it in the bylaws or what's it in?
It's in the A&E rules.
A&E, so it's not in the covenants.
It could be changed at any time with the proper vote.
I understand, but so it's not in the covenants, so don't say.
Correct.
Okay, all right, yes, you're right, that's why I didn't know, that's why I was asking.
And if the rule's 30 feet and they turn it down and it comes to the board to make a decision, that's the whole rule. The rule, we didn't violate any of it. It was within 30 feet, and then we have, if within the rule, the right to vote and make a decision, and we vote.
That's written
We still
in,
violated it, I mean, no matter what. No, we got violated.
it's written in the A&E
It's
rules.
not a violation when the board changes something. It is the board's right to change something.
And like,
We are fiduciaries for you.
Yes.
You voted us in place. We can change whatever we want to change other than those things on the covenants because we feel it's important to make those changes. That is not considered a violation. That is considered, we looked at all the facts and we decided that for that homeowner, that member of our community, who's going to be another member just like you, they deserve a variance because of the facts they presented to the board. That's what we did, and that's what we do on any variance. So it's not a violation, we're not changing rules.
I didn't say, all I said was, I look at it
Well, we
one
can
way, you
run the
look at it
tape.
another.
We can run the tape back, but you did say we violated that rule.
Well, yeah, I feel you did, you feel you didn't, so let's just
Okay.
drop it.
All right.
That's pretty simple.
All right.
I just asked you if it was in the covenants or not, so I was asking for it. On this, and I thought about this for about a year, I'm glad this got brought up, this Airbnb stuff. I wasn't gonna bring it up, thought about 3 years. I do know the covenants say you can't run a business out of your house, and that means the customer coming to your house for, doing business. Some of these are LLCs. That customer, and they meet at that house. They're renting that house. That is running a business.
That's
So
correct.
that's what I gotta say about the covenants. And
That's correct. You're
Yeah.
correct.
so if we're gonna say, all right, this is legal, it's okay, you guys know what's been going on. If we're gonna say, yes, we can do this, then that means we can run a business out of our house now.
That means that if you run a business out of your house, you are violating the covenants.
Yes,
That's all that means.
yeah.
So if somebody next door to you has a business out of their house, you certainly have the right to bring that to our attention, and you certainly have the right to hire an attorney and sue whoever, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that is a covenant. A covenant is a law. And if they are breaking the law, if they have a daycare in their house, if they have a mechanic situation at their driveway, if they have a business coming out of their house,
Yeah,
that is a violation of the covenants,
Yeah,
correct?
customers come in and out.
That is
Yeah.
correct. That is correct.
So you got customers coming in and out, that's how I feel. You guys might feel different, but that's how I feel.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Nicholas Pietrowski, 474 Gettysburg. First board meeting, new to the community, very grateful to everyone who serves for the order and clarity of the meeting today, very grateful. Also in the Airbnb, I have two brief questions, maybe three. I was writing down some of those suggested rule changes. I missed the one on the 90-day proviso. Could I hear that one again? What was that one about?
There would be no rentals permitted for less than 90 days. So if you have a renter that wants to rent for less than 90 days, you will not be permitted to rent to that renter.
Would that not, that would eliminate Airbnbs altogether?
It would eliminate short-term rentals of 89 days or fewer.
So that would be the motion, to eliminate rentals for less than 90 days.
It's on the table.
It's
on the table.
It's one of the points we have been at.
I would also-
recommendation, I guess.
Yeah. I would also.
You're not gonna need the other 4 or 5. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, you're not gonna need the other 4 to count.
It still applies to long-term rentals because we still have homes being rented for a year at a time, and the renters need to understand the rules before they sign that rental lease, that they're not allowed to use the pool that they saw when they drove through the neighborhood, that they can't fish off their dock.
There are several rental properties at Heritage Lake, and those people abide by the same rules, some of those same rules that we're talking about. So I think specifically they all apply. I think that you can probably get the gist that the 90-day thing is the biggest deal for contrast to Airbnbs. And so, again, that's why we're presenting it to the community. We have a situation, and I don't know if you're aware of it because you're new, but we have a situation at Heritage Lake that we have applied with a complaint to the court system to be able to change certain factors on our covenants. And 2 of those factors involve voting. One, the number of votes we need to change something on our covenants, and 2, how many votes per equity owner are allowed. And if in fact the courts agree with us, then the voting system might change. And if the voting system changes, this particular situation with Airbnbs could be one of the first things that we present to the community. And under that scenario, we would ask, as fiduciaries for the community, we'd ask you to tell us what you want. Do you want Airbnbs? Do you want to eliminate the rules we're making up right now about Airbnbs? And do you want that to move forward? There may be other things that we're going to ask the community. And under that scenario, hopefully the board is equipped with the knowledge and the wherewithal to do their homework before they ever come to the community. Here's what we're coming to you with. It's not just going to be vote yay or nay for Airbnbs. There's going to be specifics about Airbnbs out there. And there's going to be specific guidelines for Airbnbs along with your vote. So maybe if the guidelines are specific enough, who knows? You might get 51% of the people out here to say, why not do Airbnbs? So that's my explanation.
My follow-up question.
Go ahead.
I don't know if 90 days is the right number, but what I think we do need to consider as a board is the impact of the other rules. I mean, if we're requiring the owner to submit paperwork to us, and then the renter come in and verify that they've received that paperwork, that's administration burden on us. And if having more rentals, more Airbnbs puts a heavier burden on us, then it's not good. So that's why I might be in favor of a 90-day thing.
I think when we discussed it, the 90 days was to kind of eliminate those if someone wanted to rent a house on the lake for the summer. There's only one reason why somebody would rent a house on the lake for the summer, and that is in order to enjoy getting in the lake or pulling fish out of the lake or any other activities. And so that 45 days, we felt, I think when we talked about it, was we were worried that that would invite those summer renters, whereas the 90 days was a little more
To me, that sounds like you're repeating two of the other points, that you advertise the amenities are off limits, you verify that advertisement with the office, et cetera. So, right, you've already prevented that scenario with those first 2.
potentially.
So my second question is exactly what you brought up, Paul. What is the process currently for adding something to the bylaws?
The process?
Yeah. Sort of layover period?
It takes 2 votes.
2 votes.
So that means 2 board meetings.
And how many
So nothing
votes?
can be decided within 2 months.
And how many votes?
2 votes.
No, how many?
Majority. Majority.
5 out of 9.
The majority of the board.
Of the board?
Correct.
And that we have bylaw change?
Yes.
Correct.
What's the difference between bylaw and covenant?
Yes.
Yes.
What's the difference between those?
The difference is that we can't change the covenants. The covenants is law. It is, if you are violating anything on the covenants, you are violating a law. So you can be sued and it can be brought into a civil court, correct?
Yes.
The bylaws, if you obstruct a bylaw, then it's up to the board to come after you.
You would still be sued.
Yes. And the board will make the choice of whether to sue you or just ask you to stop.
Is there a precedent in the past of changing the bylaws when people purchase their homes under the then current bylaws?
No.
See, that sounds tricky to me. Everybody purchased their homes under the current bylaws, and then they get changed.
Well, and the current covenants clearly say that no building should be used for any purpose other than residential, and it specifically says, no building in Heritage Lake shall be used for business or commercial use.
Right, yeah, but we're talking about rentals, which is.
The covenant.
That's a business.
Which is a business or
The
commercial use.
the covenants give us the right to create bylaws. And
Do you-
so, and the bylaws are published every year during our annual meeting, along with other documents that any property owner has easy access to all of those documents. Obviously, our board meetings are conducted in public, so any bylaws changes that may take place or did take place are well advertised. So that's just the way it is. That's how bylaws work.
No, I'm just trying to get clarity on the difference between covenants, bylaws, and how that operates and how that affects homeowners. So we purchased our home last fall with the understanding that it would be a retreat space for my wife. She has friends who like to craft and make greeting cards, scrapbooks, sew, things like that. And we also thought that when we're not using it for that purpose and for my family, my wife would use it as an Airbnb. And we asked in the POA office, talked to April Land, a realtor called, we read the bylaws, we read the covenant, and we were told Airbnbs are okay. And so now we have this $325,000 investment, and the rug's gonna be pulled out. from
Are you
underneath.
charging the people to come to your house?
Yeah.
That's a business.
No, I mean, it's a rental.
Is a,
Do you have to,
is a
do you have
hotel
to
a
pay
residence?
taxes on that money that their people are paying you?
Yeah, everybody has to pay taxes on every
That's a business.
change of money in hands.
That's a business. I have rental properties. I'm in the business. If one of my rental properties is out here, it's a business. And it may be against the covenants,
Well, then every single rental would be a business.
probably.
Every single property that's being rented around the lake would then become a violation.
That's probably a possibility.
Okay, I'm sure you'll think of that when you vote.
Rich Moles, 259 Desert Valley. Is it against the covenants or not? Pretty simple, guys, you guys are on the board.
Is what? But don't say it, it's confused, what, tell me what is what, what are you talking about? Rent, annual rental, a 2-year rental?
Running a business out of your house, what we've been sitting there talking about, Jeff.
Yeah,
Pretty
running a
simple.
business out of your house is against covenants.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that that lives here may own a house and they live in Indianapolis and they're renting their house here. That's not running it out of their house, I mean, they're running it out of their house in Indianapolis. You don't get.
Your customers are still at the house here. That's all right,
Okay.
Jeff, I don't want, I'm trying to really.
How about mowing a yard? Do you mow yards? Who does mow yards? Is that a business?
Yes.
So if you mow your neighbor's
But
yard,
your
you get
customer-
paid for it,
If your
and you're
customer
charged,
comes
that's
to
a
your
business.
house, your customer comes to your house, Jeff, people come to your house and do business.
Right, I'm talking about a renter that lives in Indianapolis, like where he lives. Where do you live? Where's your other house?
Lawrence.
Huh?
Indianapolis.
Yeah. So he's not running any business out of his house. He doesn't live there.
You know what, Jeff? I just want to
There you go. Thank you, Reframer.
Yeah, because you're wrong, so just go to Frank.
That's true. You keep us with you, man.
I don't know, I'm kind of.
Anything else? Yes.
Clint, 32 Gettysburg. Just to provide some context on running a business out of your home, my understanding is that the intent of the law is that you can't run a retail business in which customers can come in and out, like a boutique or a salon. It's not necessarily to say, if you're a construction company, you can't invite a client into your living room to have a lunch with them. It's to stop your neighbor from having 20 cars in front of the house with customers going in and out, just like a retail establishment. But I don't know exactly what the covenants state, but that's generally the intent of not running a business out of your house. Just wanted to add that.
Yeah, because any contractor that has to park equipment at their house to and fro, if you're saying that, that means no business owner could live at the lake. So I can see it, I can see,
You couldn't sell on eBay.
I mean, there's, like I said, it depends on how, the framework in which you look at running a business out of your house.
I think many of the questions that you have concerning running a business out of your home, or what is considered running a business out of your home, can only be answered in a court of law if somebody has a problem with it.
Right.
So if I've got a business that you think is a business that is against the covenants in my home or a home that I own, and you don't like that, and you want to sue me, then we go to court and figure out if that's what the judge is going to say. I would assume that's what would happen.
I thought the board was here to protect the homeowners, and that's what they're supposed to do.
We try.
Well, we try to do our best at that, yeah. Now, you also know that you can't get the community to vote on anything, so you have to rely on us to
Yeah.
make the right decisions. If you disagree with those decisions, you can, the open forum's right here, tell us what we decided that you disagree with, and maybe we'll change our mind. That's why we have 2 votes to change a bylaw, so that we give the community enough time to raise hell with us about the issues.
It would be very expensive to take every potential business to court, to sue every potential person with a business to court. So who makes, who is it affecting? And who wants to move forward with a lawsuit?
And what is most jeopardizing our amenities as a private community? Is it the person running a daycare out of their home, off the water, they're not bringing the kids to the beach? Is that affecting our amenities? Is it the person running an eBay business out of their home? Is that affecting our amenities? Or inviting strangers on a short-term basis into our neighborhood? Is that affecting our amenities and our community?
That is probably the biggest complaint, is we get them all in the office.
Yeah.
The biggest complaint is, in your residence in particular, we have recently, probably within 2 months or so, 3 months, there was a gentleman that called, and it was a neighbor somewhere close to you, that wanted to know what was going on, because there's always strange people, different people that there's a comfort level of knowing that I live next to you or AJ. I know who AJ is. I know when his wife comes out and his kid. The neighbors are concerned who these people are coming in and out all weekend long. That's some of the concerns, as well as the lady with the monster trucks up and down the road, and, people just, the guy that just, went in behind his house to use the restroom. He looks over at the lady when he finishes and says, "Can you tell me where the lake is at? I was going to go fishing today." You're not supposed to go fishing out here. So the communication from the homeowners, all they're thinking about is renting it out. And
Well, we're not. We want to be good members. Like I said, it's a lake house for our family. My wife's part of this community where they like to get away, to do crafts together. That's what she wants to do. We want to be good neighbors. I mean, that's why I'm here to learn.
well, I'm sure you do, but it's like I said, the gentleman that called me and talked about, when you decide who you want to take to court, when it affects the neighbors, and the neighbors are saying, "Look, I didn't buy here to have neighbors in and out all weekend long, like you bought for a business." But The neighbors they didn't buy out here to have neighbors.
And for my wife to do her recreational crafting.
So
Yeah,
then
but-
what's the rug that has been pulled out from underneath you, to quote your
Well,
words?
that we inquired, we asked, we read the bylaws, we talked to our realtor, the other realtor we talked to, Ms. Land, I forget her first name,
Is there
April.
something in there about
And we read,
they could
and
use
so
amenities?
Yeah.
this is, my wife's retreat home that she's using in this extra way when she's not there, and the terms might be changed. I mean, I
And
understand
and
what
to
you're
your
saying, Paul.
definition, you did not consider it a business,
No.
as defined in the covenants that you would have had to review on the
Oh,
property.
yeah, well, no, we reviewed it, no, I don't consider it a business any more than I consider, like, as this fellow over here mentioned, I understand a business is a place where I set up shop, the customers are coming and going to me Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and I'm selling my goods and wares out of that space.
So if you were to remove the home from your lot, could you still conduct your business?
If I remove,
If your home is no longer on that lot, could you conduct the current business that you're conducting on that property?
well, as I said, I'm not conducting a business.
Well, let me.
We
let
have
me-
a lot of
hold on,
rules,
hold on.
I'm sorry.
Let me read something to the board and then show me a hands whether you think it's a business. This is his property. This weekend is for ladies to get away and join Cheryl for a weekend of crafting. There are 6 spots available. Cost is $140, includes a 5-foot crafting table for a weekend plus lodging. Meals are not provided, but access to a kitchen and nearby restaurant recommendations. Public weekends in May to August also provide access to pool, pickleball, tennis, and lake amenities. Sign up here. No. Think this sounds like a business?
That's business.
The key term there is join Cheryl. This is an advertisement to her friends.
You're charging for it.
But, let me finish my thought.
All right.
Well, I mean, like I said, the way this community works is they like to get away, whether it's a retreat house, or a hotel, or a boat, or wherever, get away and be together. These are women who are cutting paper and stapling and taping them and gluing them and stamping them and sharing their cards with each other. The key phrase there is join Cheryl. This is an advertisement to her friends to join Cheryl.
So what's the $140 for? Paper?
Like I told
Staples?
your wife, I would never charge my friend $140 to come over and do crafts.
This is a
at my house.
community, I mean, if you're not part of the community, I can understand it. This is what they like to do. This is what they like to do.
I'll just ask one thing. How do you pronounce your first name? I'm sorry.
Mine?
Yeah, I don't want.
Alyssa.
Alyssa? I was gonna ask you since you're aware, let's just say the board's coming after me, or, say I'm running a business out of my house, they see customers coming in now. And I know there's 4 or 5 other people doing it, and nothing's happened to them for a year or 2. And they're coming after me, I'd have a good chance to go to court and say, this is selective enforcement. They're singling me out when we got all these other ones doing this, maybe not the same business, but running business out of their house. We got a babysitting crew, we got a, mechanics crew, and I can prove all this, acting through advertising. Wouldn't I win?
So my argument is, 5 people commit a crime and only 1 gets enforced, it still doesn't mean you didn't commit a crime.
Huh?
So,
The crime, okay, all right. If all 5 would have committed a crime, they're all guilty. Is that what you said?
no, if 5 people stole something from Walmart and only 1 got caught, and got prosecuted for it, just because everybody else got away with it, doesn't mean you should get away with it.
I think there's language in the covenants that specifically states failure to enforce prior violations does not eliminate our ability to enforce the next one.
I'm just saying, okay.
So the singled out could be an issue, but that's a completely separate issue from the rule that was broken. So we first address the rule that was broken, and then if you feel that there's been a discrimination, that's a completely separate issue.
But
It doesn't negate the first rule breaking.
So Richard, my question to you is, about the Airbnb, that we discussed.
Yeah.
Are you opposed to the rules here, or are you in favor of these rules? I don't understand where you're coming from.
I'm just going over what the covenants say. I've thought about this for a year.
Okay,
about
well,
what
I
the
mean,
alcohol
no, I mean about-
I ain't saying nothing about it.
Okay, so.
But then you brought it up,
And my
and I
other
thought I'd
que-
bring it up and ask.
No, my other question is, so have you been opposed to people renting their houses for a year or 2 years or ongoing? Are you opposed to renters living here? I'm asking
This is
that.
what I'm opposed to. I'm not opposed to that. As long as they can run the business out of their house, I can bring customers to my house and run a business out of mine. Equal playing ground, that's what I want.
So this is my last comment. We're not trying to be sneaky. We're not trying to break any of the rules. You know, we're trying to read the rules and come in and do the right thing. And so, you know, we'll abide by whatever rules come out of it. It sounds to me, though, from listening carefully, the real concern is the use of the amenities. And while it hasn't been mentioned, which implicitly sounds like a noise ordinance. And so I would suggest to the board, as you consider this over the next 2 votes, to consider, you know, we love the community so far. My wife wants to continue to craft and scrapbook there. If there are problems with my neighbors, I'd encourage them to just call me and let me know.
I think the difference.
And then write a noise ordinance thing. Keep the amenities strong.
I'm listening very carefully also, and I think the discrepancy that I'm hearing here is that you've advertised not only that people are going to pay you, but that after they pay you, they're going to be able to use the amenities that we offer our members. Now, let me finish. Let me finish. That you are offering them to use the amenities that we offer our members. Now, if they're coming out here to do crafts, they don't have to do it at the pickleball court. They don't have to do it at the pool. They don't have to do it at the beach. They don't have to do it at any of the amenities that we offer the members of the community. They can just be at your house, use your house for your crafts, you charge them whatever you want, and I think that would be fine. That wouldn't be, in my opinion, wouldn't be an Airbnb. However, once it gets to the point that it's brought to his attention and it becomes our attention, then we have to figure out a way that we can answer all the questions responsibly and make a decision that is prudent to the membership of the lake. Right now, we cannot take a vote on your situation. We cannot take a vote on Airbnbs. We have to figure out the best thing to do for our members. So we've told you why we think your particular situation might teeter on getting a lot more people at our next board meeting. So that's what we're trying to eliminate. Well, actually, we don't care. We'd like to have more people at our board meeting.
When the rules are come out, we're gonna play by them.
Okay.
Abide by them. I mean, I think there's 5 of them, or there's 6. Clear advertisement, no use of amenities. I'm all day on that. I mean, we read that from the beginning. We agree on that. The language in that one definitely could be more clear. Leave it out. I mean, ready to go there all day long.
Okay.
I think if you would just text your wife would just text her friends and just say, hey, and bring $140 and we're coming out to knit or whatever.
Right.
Versus putting it on a site and.
Right. And one of the statements there would redress that. Clear with the office. They say no. It's just, it's that 90-day thing that's a boulder for us. Grateful for the clarity out there.
I'm not sure, I guess I'm not really sure, just that one statement. If I got my whole family to come out and charge everybody $100 to come in my house and make crafts, that's not an Airbnb. That's charging my friends to be in my house making crafts. Maybe that's what the cost is, because I gotta go out and buy all this stuff. And I'm too cheap to do it for my own friends and family. So my point, you see where we are?
Oh yeah, I definitely think she could still have her friends out here to do what they want in the house. It's
Yeah.
private property. But it's when she's not there and it is on the Airbnb. So what he just read to you was not on the Airbnb site. That was actually a private Facebook page. I'll talk to her about how you found it unless you're in that group. The Airbnb page that we have clearly says, can't use the amenities, house only, these kinds of things. And that's the one that would be hit by the 90-day clause.
Well, I think you touched on a really important distinction in my mind. You know, we have a lot of rules here about property owners' privileges and allow their guests, okay? But as soon as you say your wife's not there, they're no longer a guest. They're a
They're a
renter,
tenant.
they're a tenant.
They're a tenant.
Okay.
Right, and
And so,
rentals are allowed on the
and
property.
because our guests,
Short-term, long-term.
our guests, we work under the presumption, if not specific rules, that the guest is supervised by the owner, close proximity of the owner. Okay,
The rental
so
properties around the lake are supervised?
amenities.
our rules for guests.
My kids can't go to the beach without me.
Oh, yeah, oh, yes, using the amenities, I got you. I like
So,
just being
so if your
honest.
wife is not there,
Yeah.
then it's no longer a guest situation.
Yes,
Okay.
agree all day.
Well, and to what you said, Rick, since he stated that this is on a private Facebook page, but on my Airbnb page, we say you can't use the amenities. Now he has the Monster Truck Club come out here, and you two guys gotta police that.
Well, we clear
More-
everything, we get a request, they tell us what they're coming for, and we can
Okay.
yay it or nay it.
Okay, so I tell you, hey, I'm coming out here because we just want to enjoy the sunshine, the butterflies, and the vultures. And you're not out here, you're not staying out here, I'm gonna do it a damn well please, and I'm gonna go to the beach, and I'm gonna go fishing, and then I'm gonna have to get up in the middle of the night and come tell you, shut your noise up and get out of here because you don't belong here. Because if you're renting an Airbnb, how do I know as a property owner, is everybody who's renting that property, are they going to get a card? So, so I gotta call an agent of the POA, Jeff, because I can't trespass on it. Thank you very much, Sheriff's Department. I know it's not your fault, Tom. It's federal stuff. Now I gotta wake you up in the middle of the night, and you gotta come out there. You don't know whether these people are renting or not. You just know they don't have a POA card. You say, get out of here, and they say, wait a minute, I'm renting this guy. This guy said I could rent it. And then you gotta wake him up. In the meantime, the sheriff's hauling him away, or the guest away.
Again, I'd like you to
So-
remember some of the
That's what I brought
suggestions, some
up.
of the suggestions make this clearer.
We discussed trespassing last month.
Exactly.
And a weekend Airbnb group all over this lake, not just at your place, but all over, can lead to big problems. You know that. I mean, it's not all Airbnb weekend guests are friendly to the neighbors and the neighborhood, okay? There's a lot of ugly stories. And this board's never gonna please everybody at this lake all at once. Can't do it. But so you can say no renting at all, but renters for a year, they're just like, they become friends too, and they become respectful of the property. But weekend guests that you're not here and you know,
Well,
somebody rents
Airbnb
it out and
has a
has a dash.
system, Airbnb actually has a system to kind of police this.
No, it doesn't. I mean, it has a system, but it's not
I've used
full.
Airbnb
Okay,
from both
here.
ends.
Yeah, I don't want
People
to,
can be-
yeah. I
People can
know.
be evaluated for their stay, and then people can deny them access.
But how
Let
would
me-
you
let me-
ever know the discomfort that your neighbors are
We
going
don't wanna
through?
go-
seeing
Let me suggest something here,
Six
okay?
strangers on your street
I
every
thi-
weekend.
I think we've all brought up pros and cons tonight enough. I mean, I think we could stay here all night long and talk about Airbnbs, I really do. And we brought it up tonight, we brought the first list of items. I hope there's enough people in the community that they will bring their concerns to the board, however they want to do it. The last time an Airbnb was opened up, it was $1 million home was bought for an Airbnb during the summer, and you never saw so much of a headache for one 4-day process of how many people told me how to do my job. Because the Airbnb was gonna open up with $1 million property. Now, so there are heated sides on both ends here. We've heard some things tonight. Any of us that know Airbnbs know the rules and regulations. I Airbnb my house in Indianapolis the first year I bought my house out this lake. And I lost a couple neighbors over that. They don't want me in that neighborhood anymore. And nothing ever happened, but they hate me for ever doing it. So there's a stigma there. So we've heard tonight some good pros and cons. We'll talk about this again in the ops meeting. And in the meantime, keep the cards and letters coming. We'll review them all, and we'll see what comes out of it. And I hope that it's fair for the majority of the people in the community. And if it's not, February, I'm gone. You'll hire another guy. I'm just kidding. Everybody all right now? Any more questions about anything else? Good. I'll take a motion.
Move to adjourn.
All those in favor? All right. You want to stay, you may.